Hello, good day to everyone in our course Networking Operating System Administration and Security. We are now on Module 3, which is entitled Installing and Configuring Local Area Network Services on Network Operating System. So this time, we already installed our operating system. Now, we will configure services. Okay, when we say services, these are those are DNS. Okay, those are file transfer protocol. Okay, that will be needs to perform here in chapter 3 or module 3. This is our objective of the course. After completing this module, we will be able to understand authentication system, Active Directory services installation, user and the computer management in the domain environment, DHCP installation and configurations, DNS administrations, file server, security and backup for our data, permissions and security concepts, and printing services for our server 2016. Okay? So that is our objective. Let us start. Authentication 3.1. Authentication is the process to verify that someone is who he or she claimed to be. Like in the college, you are need to input your username and password. You need to authenticate. Okay? The college know who you are. My name is 56J12345. That is my ID and I need to put my password. Of course, you must have username and password so that you can use computers in the college. You need to authenticate. Okay, you need to authenticate. In short, it is the process of granting the user an access to network resources. So, for better understanding, you need to authenticate before it allow you to use the resources like computer, printing, or Wi-Fi, okay, wireless networks. You need to authenticate. You must have username and password, and you must be member of the domain. Okay, later we will talk about domain. So you can authenticate the user through the following. Okay, there's a way for you to authenticate. Commonly, the first one commonly is user knows. When we say user knows, it refers to username and password. Okay, username and password because it is in your mind. The username and password, it is in your mind. You know it. Okay, that's why don't forget the password or PIN in your ATM card, personal identification number, PIN. Okay? Something the user have. Okay, we can authenticate. Let's say you want to open the door, you must have key to open the door to authenticate that you are the owner of the house. You can open by means of cards, door cards, keys, or ATM cards. Something user have. Okay? Key, card, okay? ATM cards, that what you have. That is an example. Something that the user is part of him or her. Like for example, uh, when you are entering in UAE, right? They are getting your biometrics. They are scanning your eye. Okay? You cannot change your eyes to others. Okay? DNA is part of the user. Another biometric is your fingerprint. Okay? Your fingerprint. So, the college are using here time in and time out. That is biometrics. Part of him or her or the user, it is in itself. It's part of the body. The eyes for biometric, or the fingerprint for biometrics, right? You cannot change your tab and you can use your friend tab. You cannot do that. Okay, let's say you have criminal case and you want to enter in UAE, you cannot change your eyes and put another eyes. Okay, that is something the user part of him. You can authenticate. Okay, in UAE, in the border, they are scanning our eyes. Something the users do. Action to be recorded. Sometimes they clap, it will open, right? Or they can sing. They can sing in the tune, wow. So, something users do can also authenticate. Okay? So, I hope you remember this fourth something for the user. Something you know is your password. Something you have, your card. Something part of you, your thumb, your eyes. That is biometric. Okay? Some things you do like dancing, clapping, okay, running, shouting, singing, okay, actions to be recorded. You may authenticate. Okay? What is authentication? It is asking who you are. Okay? I hope that authentication definition is fine. There will be a dual authentication. When we say dual, it will ask you two times. Right? That is the latest for security now. Dual authentication. Sometimes, the single authentication is not considered sufficient. It's not enough. Then you need another layer of security for sensitive system to make sure that only the desired and authorized user is trying to access the resources. Sometimes of authentication is called dual factor authentication. Example, when you created a Gmail account, you will put your username and password, and sometimes it will ask for your phone number and it will send a verification number into your phone. Okay, two times. You put your username and password and it will ask for your phone number, then Google or Gmail will send a number to your cell phone. Then you need to put that number, special number, to your account before it will be verified and before it will be activated. So I know you know what I mean. That is dual authentication. It will ask you two times, username and password, and it can be a verification code or one-time code. Okay, that will send through phone number. That can send through your email to activate. That is dual authentication. So we are now on basic security. So authentication, it's a security. Okay, authentication is security. So these are the factor for a basic security. Let us only talk about password. Okay, we have rules to create a password. Later we will discuss. The first one, do not use same password again and again. Okay, again and again, you have only one password. Why? If your password will get by the hacker or any user, all of your account will be compromised. Change the password routinely basis. When we say routinely basis, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, okay? So you need to change. If you want every month, it's fine. But daily is not recommended. Okay? So minimum every month, every 6 months, uh, semi semi-annual. Okay, when we say semi-annual, 6 months. When we say annual, 12 months, 1 year. When we say quarterly, 3 months. Okay, I hope you know that. Okay? Always use complex password. What is complex? When we say complex means it does not contain less than 8 characters. Okay? I will start to open my MS Word for you to know if it is if it is allow or not allow. Okay? What is the first rule in the password? The first rule in the password, not less than 8 characters. For example, 8 characters. My password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, in terms of size, okay, in terms of size, this is allow. Okay? This is allow. But if your password is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's not allow. That is the first condition. Okay, let's assume there's a 8 password, 1, 2, 3 characters. It contains uppercase and lowercase, so we must put a uppercase and lowercase. We must have letter. Okay, like for example, P. Okay, and we must have lowercase, small letter P. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's fine. There's a number. So there's a capital, there's a small, there's a number, and special characters. Okay? So special characters. We can put this one. Question mark, dollar sign, uh, percent, right? At. So those are possible special character. You know that. Okay? So you should know if it is allowed or not allowed. Okay? You should know the rules for complex password. So let me continue. I will just cancel. It is not based on your assist and relations. So what does it mean? It is not your phone number, it is not your birthday, or whatsoever. Because that will be easy to trace. Your telephone number. Most of you use telephone number in the college. Do not reveal your authentication factor to anybody. Do not tell your password. Okay? Do not write your password. Do not write your password in your notebook, especially when you are working in the company. That will be very sensitive to open your password. Your email, your account, your computer. Do not write it in the table. Do not write in your notebook. Okay? You must put it in a secure device. Always use encrypted communication. When we say encrypted, it is secure. Okay? Whenever you feel something's wrong, immediately report it to authorized person. Let's say there's something wrong on your email. So you may change it, you may report it to the admin that something's wrong on your account. Understand the reality and social engineering. When we say social engineering, let's say I just ask you all. I try to be friend to you, but I'm only collecting your information like when is your birthday, what is your telephone number, what is your favorite color. Then those answer I try to put in your password. Okay, that is social engineering. Do not use the open network unless they are provided by authentic source. For example, some cafe, there are free Wi-Fi, but you don't know they are collecting your information. There's a lot of open networks. Without password, you can easily connect, but without knowing, they are getting information in your account, in your system. They are getting valuable information in your cell phone. Okay? Beware on connecting to any open Wi-Fi networks here, especially in cafe. They might get some information, photos, video, anything that can get in your cell phone. Whenever possible, use centralized authentication system in organization. Like in our college, we have authentication system. Okay? You cannot use your any computer if you will not log your username and password because we have centralized authentication. We have our own organizational unit, Almusana College of Technology. Okay? So I hope you learned something about password. If your password is your birthday, password is related to you, your telephone number, you may change now. Okay? So let us continue. Authentication system. This is a centralized database that store your credential. It's called authentication system. Our college is a example of authentication system. When let's say for example e-learning, your email, your computer, when you use computer, when you use CIMS, you are using your ID authentication and password. That is an example, okay? Not only user in authentication system, to not only user that they need to authenticate, you need to the authentication system also needs to authenticate your hardware. Like for example, in the college, you cannot just simply connect your phone to wireless. You need to register, okay? And only two maximum devices that you can use in wireless, your phone and your laptop, because they need to register your MAC address. Okay, you need to authenticate. When we say authenticate, you download something, you are try to authenticate your system. They get information in your system because the college, it is authentication system. Your user, the software, the hardware, they are checking it. Who is using it? Okay? So let me continue. Authentication of device in centralized authentication system is called domain. So we are now entering domain. When we say domain or domain membership, you are in a one umbrella like in the college. All computers are connected. All users are in database. All emails are collected. All e-learning are collected. We are in a one domain. And we are using the Microsoft Active Directory domain in the college. But there's a lot of domain that you can use. Linux, Samba, okay, Red Hat Directory Server. Those are example of domain membership. But in our college, I believe we are using the Microsoft Active Directory domain. So we are using the Microsoft product. 3.2, Active Directory. It is a repository of information about resources. What are resources? It refers to hardware. What computer number? It's a software. Are you using email? Are you using e-learning? Are you using help desk? Are you using Cisco? Okay? And human. When we say human, you, the user, the staff, okay, that are connected to a network. When we say Active Directory, it's about resources. Okay? The Active Directory Domain Services is a directory service that Microsoft first introduced in Windows 2000 Server, and until now, we are using it. This information contains about the network such as your user account. So user account, we know it, your 56J, 56S, right? S66J123, those, that is user account with password. Computer, let's say you use in Lab 7. The computer name is Lab 7 Computer 2. There will be a computer name because it is recorded. It is member of the domain. A printer, okay? There will be a printer, for example, in Lab 2. So that printer is Lab 2 Printer HP. There's a name for that because they are under a domain. And another thing, your shared folder and files. You have your Y-Drive, right? That you can store information because of the Active Directory. Each student has allotted 500 MB, I think, to use as your as your shared folder. You can use it anywhere, anytime, as long as you are logging in the college. So, Active Directory Domain Controller. Okay? Domain Controller is different. It is a directory service which provide the facility of creation and organizational division called domain. Okay? We already know the domain membership. When we say Active Directory Controller, this is directory services creating a domain. Okay, like for example, in the college, we have domain for IT, we have domain for engineering, we have domain for business, ETC, and English department. Okay, those are the domain. primary domain controller maintains the main directory and replicate it among the others controller for fault tolerance and or load balancing. Later we will define fault tolerance or load balancing. Domain, a logical container of network components like user, computer, groups, and policy. Okay, that is a domain. It's a logical container of networks component. Components are user, computer, groups, policy. Okay? And what is a domain controller? A domain controller is a computer which hosts these services. The one who will give a domain is a domain controller. Okay? And that is your server. Because server will provide policy, provide services, provides features of their network. Okay? Continue. So let me define fault tolerance and load balancing. We are under a domain. We have a one application here. For example, just for you to understand what is fault tolerance and load balancing. So we have a network. Our network has web application. Let's say www.act.edu.on. Okay? So we have load balancer. What is load balancer? Means sharing the load of primary domain controller in a peak usage hour. For example, data center A is full. It will give it to B. Okay? If A and B are full, it will give it to C. That is load balancing. All A, B, and C, they are working together. For example, there are 30 requests, 30. So load balancer will distribute 10 for A, 10 for B, and 10 for C. That is load balancing. So that they will work smoothly, okay, in terms of processing. So what is fault tolerance? Fault tolerance means the uninterrupted provision of domain services in the event of failure of primary domain controller. This is the primary domain controller. Something's happened, let's say this goes down, shut down, failure, so you have a backup. The standby server will work. That is the meaning of fault tolerance. Your connection, your system will not stop. Okay, even something's problems happen, it will not stop. You have a failover or standby server. Like for example, you are driving, you have your own car, the fault tolerance you have in your car, in your Sayara, is extra tire. Something's happen on the tire, you can change it and you can proceed. So, it is uninterrupted provision for a domain services. You must have extra. Okay? You must have extra. That is fault tolerance. So that you can continue what you are doing. You have backup, in short. Okay? Another term, you have backup. So I hope you understand what is load balancing and what is fault tolerance. Okay? Continue. So structure of Active Directory. So we know what is domain, we know what is Active Directory. Now let us understand the structure. The structure has physical and logical. Okay, when we say physical means the physical location in which domain controller is providing authentication or replication, load balancing, or fault tolerance services. In short, close open parenthesis, where is your server? Physical place of my server. In our college, we have server room. That is the physical structure. The location, the place of our server. Okay? So logical structure means the look and the feel of directory service. This is referring to the configuration of the Active Directory. There are four organizing components of Active Directory. Number one, OU or the organization units. Domain, number two. Number three is trees. Number four is forest. So to give you an idea, the whole thing is under a domain. Okay? So we have domain, trees. Trees configuration, what does it mean? Let's say we have a domain for IT. We have a subdomain, for example, networking. Okay, networking. Here, for example, database. Okay, so engineering, for example, there will be trees, electrical, mechanical, right? Those are example. For example, domain for business, there's a marketing, there's accounting, there's financial, that is subdomain. Okay? Later we will discuss that. So we know what is inside the logical structure. We have organizational unit, domain, trees, and forests. Let us define one by one for the logical structure. The first is organizational unit. Organizational unit or OU is a container in Active Directory that is used to store user to create and store information regarding your account, your group. For example, in IT, we have group diploma, advanced diploma, BTech. Okay, that is a group. We have a group for networking, security, database, that is a group. For computers, we have computer in Cisco Lab, we have computer in IT 307, we have computer in IT 208, we have computer in CC. Those are the computers. They are under organization, okay? So shared folder, we have a shared folder individually. You have application, okay? You can use your application, member server, and domain controller. Those are under the organization unit. Okay, let me check here. This is an example for organizational unit. The organizational unit has the security policy, the group. Okay, here let's say group is all students, all IT students, all business students, all engineering students. Then you, the user, the printer. There's a in a organizational unit. We have file sharing. We have the computer, okay, Windows 10 in our college, you can use it. You can use the application such as e-learning, okay, Microsoft Teams. Those are applications. They are under the organizational unit. But remember, organizational unit is under on the domain controller. And the one who controlling the Active Directory is our administrator. Okay, we have administrator in the college. So these are still example. Let's say in engineering, there will be user 1, user 2, printer, server, computer, PC1, PC3. Those are organizational unit. Let's say in IT, there's an IT group, BTech group, advanced diploma group, IT user, staff, right? Then user, PC1, PC2, student user, this is a student. Okay, we have a printer for colored, we have file server for IT. Those are under the organizational unit. Okay? So let me continue. The Active Directory domain is a core structural unit. Okay, the domain is Active Directory core structural unit, the domain. It contains OU and represent administrative security and policy boundary. A small to medium company usually has one domain with a single administrative group. For example, there are 7 colleges of technology in Oman, right? We have Muscat, Al-Musana, Sinas, Salala, Ibri, Ibra, and Niswa. There are 7. Okay? All of these colleges and now university, let's forget university first. There are college of technology. They are all college of technology. To separate the administrative domain, we can create example sinas.city.edu.om. So this is one domain. Okay? Muscat.city.edu.om, this is one domain. Muscat is one domain. Almusana.city.edu.om is another domain. The division is nothing more than separation of administrative domain. Of course, here, there will be a administrative domain, so that it will be easy to manage. Okay? So, continue. the Active Directory trees. The Active Directory trees is simply a grouping of domains that share a common naming structure. A trees consists of parent domain and possibly one or more child domain that has the same second level and top level domain names as the parent's domain. For example, let's go back in our example. The parent domain is city.edu.om. Let me show it to you because this will be, say, city.edu.om. This is parent, parent domain. Child domain, that's like child domain, those are sinas dot city dot edu dot om. This is child domain. Child domain. Okay, I hope you can understand what I mean because you know how to control the sinas is child. Another thing, let's say musana.city.edu.om. Musana is child, okay? Child, and city.edu.om is parent. Okay, like for example in Almusana. In Almusana, let me open my e-learning. We have e-learning, see? I just copy. In Musana, we have HTTPS, okay, our e-learning is child. act.edu.om is parent. Okay, I hope you can understand. Let me open another thing. Log in. I log my account just to get the address so that you know. You can identify parent. Active Directory. Etimad. I will go to ECT. I will go to Etimad. Okay, see, this is another thing. I just copy, paste. Etimad is a child. ACT edu is the parent. So if I will create an structure, I will create an structure. So this is an example. Let's say this is act.edu.om, this one. Then under act.edu.om, there's a e-learning. There's Etimad. There's a mail, right? There's CIMS. They are all under act.edu.om. That is a trees. Okay? These are trees. Trees has child and parent. The main one is the parent succeeding our child domain. Okay, I hope you understand that concept. Continue. So, trees, Active Directory, Pores, this is all Pores, okay, is a collection of one or more trees. Okay, collection of one or more trees. This forest is for a big company. Collection of one or more trees is a forest. It's same thing. Okay, in the forest we can find a lot of trees. A forest can consist of single tree with a single domain, or it can contain several trees and several domains. Each tree in the forest has different naming structure. Okay, you cannot duplicate the name. A forest's main purpose is to provide a common active directory. Okay, a forest's main purpose is to provide a common active directory environment in which all domain, all trees can communicate with one another and share information. For example, in engineering, you can communicate to IT, we can communicate to business, we can communicate to admin, okay? That's an example. So now, let us start with a first LAN services, which is DNS server. DNS, what is DNS? It's a distributed hierarchical database. The domain name system will resolve the name of a computer into IP. Okay, DNS means domain name system. It will resolve the name of a computer into IP. Like for example, act.edu.om is a number. Google.com is a number. Netacad.com is a number. YouTube.com is a number. Remember that. It's a long number. It's an IP address. Like for example here, where is act.edu.om? It is us from the server. It is 46.40.224.163. It's a number. Which one is easy enough for you? A long number or a name? Even in our phone, right? Even in our phone. We save our friends. Let's say my friends is Abdullah. Instead of looking up number, I just only type the name. It will be easy. That is the function of a DNS server. When you type a name, it will look for a number. Okay? Or vice versa. If you type a number, it will look for a name. Okay? So there are two lookup, forward and reverse. When a client queries about the IP address of a server from DNS server, and DNS server will return the IP address. So forward lookup, you have a name and you don't have the IP address. So the return is IP address. This one is forward lookup. The client is asking for a name. It is giving for a name, and the server will give an IP address. That is forward. Reverse, the other way around, when the client gives IP, okay, client gives IP, and asks the domain server return name of the server. You type a number, for example, I will give an example. Let's say here, I will type, I will guess 15.15.15.15, enter. Okay, I put a number. This is reverse lookup. Let us check if someone using this number. It takes time, but it will be looking for this number because I don't know the name. Okay? Oh, no. No one. I will ask for a number, CMD, command prompt. Let's say here, trace route, netacad.com, for example. So this is a number, see? 54, I will type 54, 91, 91, 127. Okay? I will try to search for that. Let's say I have a number 54.191.191.127, enter. I put a number, so file not found, so it's not allowed, I think. Let me try another number. 188.135.24.1. So it is asking for security. Another number here, 5.21.229.0. I think those are Ooredoo number, okay? So it is not working here. Those are secured, okay? This only allow for forward. Forward, you put name, and it will give the IP address, okay? So that is the definition of DNS server. What else? So DHCP server. DHCP server is Dynamic Host Control Protocol. Is a network protocol that enables the server, automatically assign an IP address to the computer. Automatic. So no need for you to put IP address one by one in the computer. That's why when you open the computer, you can use it easily. because there's already IP address. And that is the function of DHCP server, if you have DHCP server. Of course, in our college, we have thousands of computer, so we cannot afford to do it every morning. We will put IP address, so we will use DHCP server. It will be automatically assign IP address to the client, defined into range of number. When we say define range of number, let's say from 1 to 100 or 100 to 200, you need to tell what is the start and what it will be the end. Okay? The client server or the DHCP has 4 steps. Step 1, need to discover. It will broadcast. The client will broadcast, hey, anyone here? Is there's a DHCP server? Ah, yes. You want to use this one? Okay, can I request? Then acknowledge. In short, we have what we so called DORA. Discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. The client at boot up, when we say boot up, you turn on your computer, boot up. When you close your computer, shut down, okay? Boot up makes a UDP broadcast for the HCP server. Broadcast, it will send to all. The server will receive the discovery packet based on availability and a usage policy set on the server. The server determine an appropriate address to give to the client. The server then temporarily reserve an address if there's a free one. So it will offer. It will offer to the client. Then the client send the request, the HCP request, letting the server know that it intends to use the address. So I want to use the address. And the server will send acknowledgement packet, confirming that the client has been given a list on the address. So remember the 4 steps: discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. Okay, that is how the DHCP works. It is assigned automatically an IP address. Okay, now we are now in file sharing because all of this, we will do all of this, guys, okay, in our server. File sharing for local area network user. So home directory is shared folder. This is what you have in the college. In a server where each user has its own directory and it is loaded automatically when booting. When you log your account, right? Automatically you have Y drive. Okay, as long as the network is working, that Y drive will automatically load in your account and that will be located to your file server. Okay, loaded automatically when booting. What is booting? Turn on your computer. Turn off, shut down your computer. The good thing about it is, user can access their data from any computer. You can do that, right? You can go to engineering, you can go to business, you can go to all building, you can go to CC, common classroom, log your account, your folder is there. Your data is there. You can back up the data easily. Wherever you are, you can save it. Save to your drive C, save in your desktop, save in your flash. Scanning for virus and other malicious software is easy and centralized. It is done by the server because in our college, we have Kaspersky. Okay? It is scanning in the server if you have a virus or malicious software. Next, no need to worry about where the user has stored the data. Okay, no need to worry because it's only in the folder. As long as you save it, it is in the folder. Easy to access from any client operating system like Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows XP. It's easy. Okay, it is in File Explorer. Administrator can control the amount to disk to be used by the user. It's called quota. Your quota in your drive is 500 MB. When we say quota, your limitation, limit. Okay? So, easy to ensure the integrity of data. When we say integrity, because it is in our file server, somehow it is secure. No one can open it, only your account. Okay, we cannot access it, only your account 56J, then your password, it will load. That is one good thing in file server or file sharing in local area network. User can have their own files by means of file sharing. Okay? So last one. Implementing the file server will benefit the following. Okay? When implementing file server by a file server, the resource manager will benefit on the following. The first one, file classification infrastructure. When we say file classification infrastructure, provides insight into your data by automating classification process so that you can manage your data more effectively. For example, classification. All MS Word will be here, all database will be here, all email will be here. That is classifying the file. Okay? File management tasks enable you to apply condition policy or action to be file based on their classification. You can also classify by date. You can classify by size. Okay? Let's say all small file will be here. All big files will be here. That is management, file classification or file management tasks. Quota management. Quota allows you to limit the space that is allowed for a volume or folder. What does it mean? You can limit. Quota means limit the space that is allowed for a volume or a folder. So you have your volume, you have your own folder in your Y drive. Okay? Quota means limit. File screening management. File screens help you control the types of files that user can store on a file server. So we can screen. Let's say it is a movie, it's a big one, you cannot save it because you have a limit. Okay? So there will be file screening management to control the types of file you can save. Of course, document, assignment, anything related to your study, you can save it. Okay? It will allow you to save. Storage report. Storage report are used to help you identify trend in the disk usage and your data is classified. So for example, I will show it to you my report. Let's say the report of a my PC properties. No. Drive C, for example. Drive C properties, that will be a report. Okay, see? How many is used, how many is free, what is the name, what is the capacity, you can clean up, that is a report. Okay, this is considered as a report. It will show you the usage or it will show you the free one, okay, in your storage report. Okay, you can use that. Any right click properties. Okay, those are, you can do it in your drive. Okay, so that will be, I think, chapter 3. So if any questions, I can start to entertain questions. So that's it. This will be recordings. Thank you and bye.